Welcome to our show, Obsessed, where we talk about cryptids, mythology, folklore, and whatever else we're currently obsessed with. I'm Caitlin Palmer.
And I'm Clay.
And we're
Obsessed.
Welcome, brave souls. Join us as we explore the mysteries that linger at the edge of our understanding. Tonight, we invite you to step into the shadowy crossroads and dance in the moonlight with two of the most enigmatic and powerful figures of Haitian voodoo. Baron Cimitière, the guardian of the grave, and Papa Legba, the keeper of the crossroads. But before we begin, we want to make something clear. Our goal is to approach this conversation with the utmost respect for voodoo, its practitioners, and its sacred traditions. We are merely seekers, learning and sharing stories as we go, and we ask your understanding if we stumble over pronunciations or unintentionally misstate any information. Now, take a deep breath, for the air grows heavy and the veil thins. Are you ready to meet the Loa who walk between the worlds of the living and the dead? Then let us begin. So I got a lot of my information from Ancient Origins, Learn Religion, State Park Services. They all seem to contain very cited sources.
No Wikipedia?
No Wikipedia. So we take Wikipedia with a grain of salt,
yeah.
Right? But if you look up Baron Cimitière on Wikipedia, it straight up has a pop-up that says there are potentially problems with this.
Oh.
So I didn't even read that one. Usually I read them just to entertain it, but I didn't because I didn't want to accidentally remember something from there and then use it.
Okay.
And it'd be wrong. So
not just not citing any sources from Wikipedia, just no information from Wikipedia, period.
Yeah,
That's
everything.
Your skull.
Sure. Well, unless some of my other sources used information from Wikipedia.
I guess that's fair.
So it's possible, but unintentional, if that makes any sense. Obviously, you can't believe in everything you read online. So these two, you can't have one without the other, Baron Cimitière without Papa Legba. In fact, they're often confused. In a lot of media, Papa Legba is the name that they use, but then the character is actually more Baron Cimitière.
Okay.
So, for example, American Horror Story has...
Which I haven't seen.
It's really good. It's very good. But they have a Papa Legba, but his character, it's really more Baron Cimitière. So that's why I kind of grouped the two together. So Baron Cimitière, according to Google, Baron Cimitière is the voodoo Loa of the dead, while Papa Legba is the West African deity who is central to voodoo and African spirituality. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But to talk about these two, we really need to also talk about voodoo. This is a religion. It shouldn't be mocked, so we have to really behave ourselves on this episode.
I'm going to make fart jokes.
Yes, well, fart jokes are fine.
Okay.
So we can make fun of other things. We just can't make fun of voodoo. So anyone listening...
Are you worried about voodoo?
I am. I very much believe in voodoo. We also, it should be mentioned that we live very close to New Orleans.
Yeah.
So, voodoo is very, very real.
I don't think any voodoo priests are going to come after us.
I don't think so.
Do you think voodoo priests listen to podcasts?
Probably so. I mean, you have to kind of blend. I mean, everything about New Orleans is about blending of cultures and stuff, so they probably do the old with the new. So they probably listen to podcasts while they're preparing their stuff. Kind of like how we listen to podcasts while we're making potato soup, which I cannot wait for.
Yeah, I compare making potato soup with practicing hoodoo for sure.
Okay, so there is a difference between hoodoo and voodoo, too.
Oh.
So voodoo is a religion.
Okay.
Hoodoo is kind of, it's also called root work, and it focuses more on natural herbs and nature, and it's often used alongside Christianity.
Okay. So practitioners of voodoo might also practice hoodoo.
Right, but you can also be a Christian and practice hoodoo.
Okay.
So they're both African American spiritual practices, so they are both spiritual. Voodoo is overall a closed religion, meaning you have to be born into it or go through some kind of rigorous initiation process. So not just anybody can go, hey, I want to practice voodoo. and then be
Fair.
welcomed into the community. However, there are some communities who are more open to outside people than others, as long as they show a genuine interest and respect. Voodoo dates back over 6,000 years, and it's most associated with Haiti by means of the transatlantic. It's most associated with Haiti by means of the transatlantic. God damn it! Why can't I say transatlantic? God damn it!
I'm not cutting any of that up.
Most associated with Haiti by means of the transatlantic. God damn it! Most associated with Haiti by means of the transatlantic slave trade. I got it first try.
But you might have heard me wheezing in the background. So you might have to do one more clean read through.
Transit. I can say red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow
Atlantic.
leather. Transatlantic.
Yeah,
by
separate-
means of the transatlantic slave trade. Why is that hard?
You were trying to like... So they're hyphenated or whatever, but you're trying to like make it
It is one word.
Just
Transatlantic
like...
is one word.
Well, then separate it in your mind into two words.
Transatlantic.
See?
Transatlantic is losing all meaning. Oh my god. I need potato soup. The word voodoo translates to deity or a spirit. Then they inhabit the physical world. Whereas the Loa and they can be different. It's LOA, LWA, IWA.
Oh.
For simplicity's sake, I'm going to say Loa, just so it's the same throughout.
Okay.
But when you're reading, you'll see different ones.
Okay.
It's just different, but it's the same thing.
But they're pronounced differently or just spelled differently?
That I'm not sure. Everything
Okay.
I saw said Loa.
All right.
Like Loa. It's spelled Loa.
Loa.
Yeah, but it's Loa, not Loa. Loa. And they are the main population of the world that we cannot see. Whereas we are spirits, like humans are spirits of the living world. Loa are spirits of the unseen world.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's a diasporic religion. I remember the word diaspora because I had it in a monologue in college, and I kept saying diaspora.
Diaspora.
But it's a diaspora, and I remembered because one of my my classmates was like diaspora, and they like slapped their butt, and I'll always remember it because of that.
Well, thank God for them. What
Thank
does
you.
diaspora mean?
So it means like it's spread out. So it started
Spread like an ass.
Spread like an ass. That's
Okay.
right. That's exactly right. That is not making fun of voodoo. That is making fun of the word diaspora.
Caitlin is deeply concerned. That
I am.
Caitlin is deeply concerned that a voodoo priest is listening right now, and he's taking down notes.
They don't even need to know where you're buried. I'm just saying.
That's true.
But that means
At least according to one guy.
exactly that one guy. So it's spread like a butt by means of the slave trade, which I guess you have to be a butt to be part of the slave trade. Like not.
You do kind of have to be an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, that's honestly, that's probably the most asshole thing you can do. They believe a lot in animism, which is the belief that everything and everyone is a spirit.
All right.
Hollywood is really unfair to voodoo in that they really focus on the bad stuff, right? Like all the black magic and it's scary, and that's not all voodoo is. But Baron Cimitière, he's the reason why we're here today. It translates to Lord Saturday. And his name...
Lord Saturday or Lord of Saturday?
Lord Saturday.
Lord Saturday, okay.
Yeah, so Saturday we have to celebrate Baron Cimitière. It can also be pronounced Baron Cimitière, which is how I'm gonna pronounce it, just for simplicity's sake, and just so it's the same throughout. I'm gonna say Baron Cimitière, because that's how I heard it the first time, so that's how it stuck in my head.
Can you give us some other pronunciations?
It can also be pronounced Baron Sanmdi, Bawon Sanmdi, and Bawon Sanmdi.
Well, one of those was Baron Samdi?
Sanmdi, yeah.
Baron Samdi. I like that one better.
Yeah, Bawon Sanmdi.
Baron Samdi.
Yes. So he's a Loa, which is a spirit, not a god. Sometimes you say that he is like the god of the dead or the god of cemeteries. Well, he's not. He's like a spirit.
Okay.
He's kind of in charge of it. Like he's the guy. But
So he's he's not just a spirit. He's the spirit.
He is the spirit. And the Loa were created by Bondi, which is a god. The god. Like, so the number one, like the god.
Yeah, Samdi and Bondi.
Samdi and Bondi, yes. Some people call him Grand Met, but it's Bondi. And the Loa assist the living in their daily lives. There's over 1,000 Loa. They often have the prefix Papa or Matre out of respect. Humans serve the Loa and in exchange expect blessings.
So like father and mother, like Papa and Matra is what you said?
Yeah, right.
Okay, all
so
right.
essentially
So,
like father or mother. There's a lot of interesting
like ancestral spirits.
kind of. Those are separate. Humans serve the Loa, and in exchange they expect blessings. Likewise, if a Loa gives you blessings, they expect stuff from you, like tribute, not necessarily sacrifices, but
All right, but giving something.
yes. Baron Cimitière is considered the head of the Gita family, who are a group of spirits who are over death. So it's like a whole family. And they're known to be loud and rude and very sexual. But fun fact, there are humans who can marry the Loa. However, it's like there's like a big ceremony and it's like a big wedding, but then you swear to celibacy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess...
Because you're married to the Loa.
As a whole or to an individual?
Like an individual.
Oh, okay.
Like you can have like your favorite, and if the things are right, you can get married.
Okay.
So that's fun. But the Gita family, they're known for being rude and sexual and loud, but fun, which is so New Orleans, which I realize...
Kind of does just sound like
New Orleans. It just does
yeah.
sound like New Orleans. Now, we know that not all voodoo practitioners are in New Orleans, but because...
well, of course not.
But because of our proximity to New Orleans, we are saying New Orleans.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of voodoo practitioners in New Orleans.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's like...
Well, like you said, it started in Haiti, huh?
There's a percentage, yeah. It's like, I think I read like 4%.
Oh, in New Orleans?
Of New Orleans, yeah.
Oh, all right.
So that's interesting.
That's a lot of people.
It is. It really is. So Baron Cimitière, he is outrageous. He swears excessively. He loves making filthy jokes. He loves drinking and smoking. However, many accounts say that he's slow to anger. He's just kind of cheeky. He has his own rum recipe made from peppers so spicy that none of the other Loa can drink it. He dresses formally, so think like Dr. Facilier from The Princess Frog.
I was going to say, every image I've seen of him looks a lot like
Dr.
he is Facilier.
Dr. Facilier, especially in his big Friends on the Other Side song where he's like got the skull face.
Right, yeah.
That is straight up a ripoff of Baron Cimitière. Like, Baron Cimitière is probably one of the friends on the other side, and that's probably what... Well, we're going to get there.
Okay.
But he's dressed very formally, like someone who's about to be buried.
Right.
So he wears...
He's always in his funeral best.
He is. He's got his top hat. He's got a suit with coattails. And he usually has a cane that has a skull on top of the cane.
Right, because it's sick.
Right, it's sick. It's sick. And he often has his face painted like a skull. So he's described as a tall, handsome black man, and he usually has a skeletal face.
Right.
So sometimes he's depicted as having a skull for his face. And then sometimes it's like painted on.
Gotcha.
I like the painted on better. So symbols of Baron Cimitière include the skeleton, coffin, a black cross, farm implements, and his colors are black and purple.
Nice.
He likes black and purple, and I'm here with him on that. The first male buried in a cemetery is said to become his manifestation, and they're typically marked with a certain, like a special cross.
So what, like for him to possess?
Essentially.
Oh.
So the first...
So is it like an honor in voodoo practitioner, like to be the first male buried in a cemetery?
I think so.
That's pretty sick.
So I'm not sure. I would think so. But if you know, please tell us in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
Because I would think so, because Baron Cimitière's not a bad guy.
Also, I wonder what the, like, stipulations on that are. Like, are you not his vessel if you're just buried in the ground somewhere until it becomes officially a cemetery? Or does, like, one other person have to be buried next to you at a later date for it to become a cemetery?
Yeah.
I wonder how picky he is.
Right, right.
If he was a Greek god, it would be extremely picky.
Right, exactly. But when you die, it's Baron Cimitière who walks you into the afterlife.
That's nice.
It is. He's also said to have power to heal and cure those who he deems worthy. Although he, of course, expects something in return. If you believe you're under a spell or a hex, you can see if he'll dig your grave to see if it's true. Like if you die or not. If he refuses to dig your grave, then you're not going to die. Because he can only dig your grave if you're going to die. So that's a way to see if you're hexed.
And get a free grave.
And get a free grave. He's said to have a soft spot for children, though, like a deep care, and he'll do his best to make sure that children don't meet him too soon. So he does a lot of... I read a story...
So he's like a nicer Grim Reaper.
That's honestly what he is. Because
the Grim Reaper is like cold and uncaring.
Yeah, no, he is essentially the Grim Reaper. He's not a bad guy.
And Baron Sanmdi is like... Come on, man.
Yeah, like that's not cool. I actually read a story, and obviously I don't have permission to read it, but I'll give you kind of the cliff notes about it. It was a lady who found out her baby was very, very sick and likely going to die. So she goes and meets with a voodoo practitioner. He gives her the instructions. She goes to the cemetery, and she summons Baron Cimitière and asks him to save her child because only he can at this point. So he has her pump breast milk from her left breast, and he drinks it, and then he says, now take the rest of this home and feed it to your baby. But, you know, whatever you do on the way back, don't look back. No matter what you hear, do not look back at the cemetery. So she goes and she hears horrible stuff the whole way, but she gets home, feeds it to the baby. Baby makes a miraculous recovery, and then dies at 23.
The baby dies at 23?
Yeah, at 23 years old.
I mean, that's 23
years you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah. That's both a nice and a spooky story.
It is. and that's what Baron Cimitière is. He's both nice and spooky, except for some of his we'll get there. We'll get there. When he goes into the living world, he must wear dark glasses to protect his eyes from the bright light. Same, my guy. There's a quote by authors Micah Issett and Carolyn Main, that explains his abilities further. Baron Cimitière may be petitioned for help with conception, as he represents the confluence of sexuality and death. He's also invoked as a patron in many professionals who come into contact with death, such as grave diggers, funerary officials, and mortuary workers. Because Cimitière has absolute authority to decide when and how an individual will die, he's also thought to favor small children and intervene in behalf of all ailing children, ensuring that they live a full life before they arrive in the underworld. That was the end of that quote. But he's also said to be able to, handle hauntings. Like, if you want someone to go back to their grave, like, get the hell out of my house. Whose doors are you slamming? Like, what bills are you paying to be slamming doors in my house? Baron Cimitière's your guy.
So he's just like the dude you go to about death in general.
And pretty much in general, yeah. I mean, there are others, but he's like the main guy.
I like that he has to do with like conception, and you said it was because sexuality, but I think it's like he's like the dude on death. So it's like, hey, look, if they ain't born, they can't die.
That's right. And then you think about like an orgasm. Can we say that? Can we say orgasm?
I think so. I don't know. Okay. Who's gonna stop us?
Daddy YouTube.
So, I don't give a shit. We ain't getting no fucking views on YouTube. All of our views come from like iTunes and Spotify and stuff.
Thank you guys, by the way. Thank you so much. But I mean, you think about it, an orgasm in French is le petit mort, which is a small death.
A small death.
So I wonder, of innocence.
You sinner.
I'm a teenager again. But he has 3 incarnations. Each have their own personality and unique roles. Sometimes they're considered totally different Loa. And then other times they're kind of like him. So they have ties to Baron Cimitière, but they aren't necessarily him, but then sometimes they are considered him.
No.
But there's 3 of them. There's Baron Legba. He's the Baron of the Cross. This man is dapper AF. He is debonair. He is cultured.
And he likes to drink shitty flavored water called Legba.
No, he drinks rum. They all drink rum. They all love spiced rum and alcohol.
That actually makes sense.
Right. So just if you need Baron Cimitière, just leave out some rum and
that sounds like that could be a pretty good tribute.
Some peppers.
Some Captain Morgan.
Yeah, but with peppers because he likes it hot.
Oh, okay.
Some like it hot. Well, I couldn't go through an episode without me singing. But he's very insightful when it comes to death. He finds it, quote, both absurd and humorous. And his whole thing is he kind of encourages you to find joy in life while you can. Like, just enjoy it. We're here for a good time, not a long time. Very New Orleans.
I was going to say.
Then we've got Baron Cimitière. He's the sophisticated spirit of death. Like the other barons, he is debonair AF. He wears the coat and the top hat. He also has horses who wear coats and top hats.
Oh, yeah.
And even the horses sometimes drink and smoke, which is amazing. He's the guardian of the cemetery.
Like a Mr. Ed sort of situation.
We might have to add that to our Redbubble shop. Baron Cimitière, horses.
I mean, draw them.
I will. He's the guardian of the cemetery, as his name implies. He digs the graves and he welcomes the dead into the afterlife. He's also said to protect the graves so that they're not disturbed. He has expensive taste and loves to drink fine liquor and smoke the finest cigars. But he's still crass. An icon. They're still pretty sexual and love drinking and yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, these guys sound pretty dope.
They're pretty dope.
This guy sounds pretty dope.
Yeah,
But-
so far. So two of the three are great, right?
Oh, is the third one not so great?
The third one is my personal opinion, least favorite, and that's going to be Baron Criminel. So it sounds like criminal for a reason. He's probably the most Hollywood depict. Clay's never seen Hocus Pocus.
I have. It's just been...
The kid comes from California, and they're like, Hollywood?
Right. I have seen it, but I didn't pay a lot of attention. I wasn't super entranced by the movie. Well, yeah, it was three witches. They couldn't enchant me. That's on them, not me.
But
sounds like a lot of hocus pocus to me.
Oh, you did it! You did the thing. So he's your most Hollywood depiction.
You already did that
I'm
joke.
sorry, I can't not do the most Hollywood depiction. So he's the most feared, right? Like he's kind of the bad one. He is depicted as the first murderer who was ever condemned to death.
Holy shit.
He can be invoked if you want swift judgment. If you're possessed by Baron Criminel, you'll act possessed. So you'll start saying lots of cuss words, but like not in a funny way. And then like trying to hurt people, like trying to stab people, like acting totally possessed.
It's straight to stabbing?
Yeah, like stabbing and screaming obscenities. Even or often, he requires a black chicken to be burned alive.
Oh, damn.
It's said that, or it's believed that the screams of the animal while it's being burned, they appeal to his cruel nature.
All right.
So he's not my favorite.
Is it just because it involves burning a live chicken?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you can
He
murder
kind of
a
sounds like the
person.
guy that you want on your side, but maybe you don't necessarily hang out with him on the weekends.
Yeah, yeah. Like he's that coworker that you're nice to, and you still ask him if you want something if you're going out for lunch, but like you kind of hope he doesn't.
Right.
Because like, what if his order's messed up?
And then he stabs everyone in the
And
restaurant.
then he stabs everybody, and then he's like, this chicken sandwich wasn't burned alive.
I ordered the blackened chicken. I thought... I had certain anticipations for this meal, and they were not met.
Oh, God. So that's enough about Baron Criminal. That's enough about him.
The one we've joked about the most.
The one we've joked about the most.
I don't want him. Afraid of the
I don't
most.
want him mad at me, but like, come on, like that's just awful. Don't burn animal. Don't burn anything alive.
Hey everybody, as we've mentioned before, after our episode on the Abita Springs Mystery Museum, the owner reached out to us and offered to let us stay at the Abita Springs Hotel, an allegedly haunted property with a building dating back to the 1890s. Or as they say, the perfect place to stay overnight and try to talk to ghosts and make a podcast episode out of it. If you yourself are interested in staying at the Abita Springs Hotel, and you should, you can find booking information at abitaspringshotel.com. Or give them a call at 985-951-4200. In short, the Abita Springs Hotel was built in a beautifully restored 1890s home. It has 5 spacious suites, each privately accessed from the wraparound porch. The hotel is nestled in lush gardens atop the healing waters of one of the town's famed artisan springs. Quiet, intimate, and comfortable, the Abita Springs Hotel promises a restful and restorative stay. Book your stay today. And now back to the episode.
In 1959, a former Haitian president named François Duvalier claimed to be the reincarnation of Baron Cimitière. This is back to Baron Cimitière, the beginning Baron Cimitière, not one of the three incantations.
No, right.
But he's believed to have been in a coma for 9 hours, which would have probably caused brain damage. And when he woke up, he claimed to be Baron Cimitière.
Well,
he woke up, he began to embody the Loa, and even tried to speak and dress like him. It's unclear whether he was actually possessed by Baron Cimitière, or if it was like a power thing, like to try to keep the people under his control, because he's Baron Cimitière. Baron Cimitière overall, excluding BC, which is Baron Criminale.
Okay.
But he teaches us to enjoy life and not to take it too seriously. In the end, we all follow Baron Cimitière into the ground. But
it normally would sound like a creepy, like almost intimidating thing. It really doesn't sound that bad.
No, it's kind of comforting, right? It's like the Grim Reaper, like, he's not bad. We all die, unfortunately. So to be accompanied into the afterlife by someone who gives a shit is kind of cool.
The Grim Reaper is not going to offer me a drink on the walk across the River of Styx or what have you.
No, I don't know that Baron Cimitière shares.
Oh, you don't know if he shares?
He probably, but you know what? I don't know. He kind of seems kind of jovial and crass. Like, he'd probably tell you a your mama joke and then give you a shot.
I was going to say, it sounds like he parties. So
he does sound like he parties.
I assume he would want to drink with somebody.
You know what? That makes sense. I choose to believe that he does. But he's married, Clay.
Well, it sounds like a lot of people get married to Loa.
Well, he's married to another Loa.
Oh.
And her name is Maman Brigitte. And she's the only white Loa. She's not even from Africa. She's Irish. She has red hair and fair skin, and she shares her husband's taste for peppered rum. So you're like, what? This is
I'm a little
This is a closed religion. How? What? So she became part of Voodoo when Irish people of indentured servitude were transported to the Caribbean and North America.
It all comes back to the slave trade.
It does, and they brought the traditions of the goddess Brigitte, who soon found herself into the company of the Loa. She's bright, feminine, sensual, and dangerous. And she often dresses very sensually. She's a healer, and if she can't heal you, then she helps you into the afterlife.
I thought you were going to say if she can't heal you, she kills your ass dead.
And if she can't heal you, she kills your ass dead. She'll guide you to your grave, and then she'll protect your grave.
All right.
Which is so nice. And if you invoke her while you're on your deathbed, she'll watch over you until you take your last breath. She can also heal STDs.
Hey!
Hey! That's why Baron Cimitière married her. He's like, hey.
And then they bonded over that. People.
And then they bonded over that, right? Yeah. And she's a woman's woman. I love her. She protects women who ask for her assistance in domestic violence, childbirth, or unfaithful lovers.
Why did you look at me like that?
Because sometimes you make dad jokes, and I'm convinced you have a secret family.
Oh, right.
I don't really think that.
I'm going to cut that part out.
That I don't really believe that.
Yeah.
She's also known as Grande Brigitte, and she is, quote, a mighty force when the wicked need to be punished.
All right.
It's also said that the first female buried in a cemetery becomes the manifestation of Maman Brigitte.
Nice.
Right, yeah, so it makes sense, right? Her and her husband. The grave is also often marked with a special cross, just like Baron Cimitière. Her colors are black and purple. She's also symbolized by a black rooster. I don't know if that ties into Baron Cimitière, like if they're related in some way. I don't know. But she does, just like the other Loa, she expects offerings in return for her help.
Right.
But
nothing's free.
Yeah, nothing is for free. But she's cool. She'll also will cuss your ass out if you need it, though.
Yeah, you said she's Irish.
She's Irish. And now we come to Papa Legba. He's the keeper of the crossroads. He's also the guardian of, it's called the Potomaton, and it's the center of power and support in your home. So like the main beam in your home.
All right.
So he's basically the king of both real and metaphorical crossroads. We know there's lots of crossroads in spirituality. West African and Caribbean voodoo god. Do you say Caribbean or Caribbean?
I say Caribbean, but I don't know that it's right.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's Pirates of the Caribbean, but you go on a Caribbean cruise. So I don't know. I don't know which one's right. Tell me. But often depicted as an old man who's very frail. He wears his little straw hat. He's got tattered clothing. He walks with a cane, and he's accompanied by a dog. His colors are black and red. He has origins in the Dahomey Kingdom, but came to the North America by means of the transatlantic slave trade, as everything does.
Right.
Sometimes he's depicted as a woman, and sometimes he's depicted as a man. Mostly a man. Denise Alvarado once said, "He stands at a spiritual crossroads and grants or denies permission to speak with the spirits of the Geni, and is believed to speak all human languages. He's always the first and the last spirit invoked in any ceremony, because his permission is needed for any communication between mortals and the Loa. He opens and closes the doorway into the spirit world." He's also said to control locks and passageways and doors.
That makes sense.
Right. So nowadays, he's associated with St. Peter, St. Anthony, and St. Lazarus. He often carries prayers to the Loa. According to some voodoo practices, spirits must be permitted to inhabit a body by Papa Legba. So before you can come back to Earth to be reincarnated or to be born, he has to say it's okay. So many 20th century blues songs refer to Papa Legba, especially like the crossroads, the spirits at the crossroads. Right. It's mostly about him. There's a bluesman named Robert Johnson who is said to have met Papa Legba at a crossroads and sold his soul in exchange for musical success.
Right.
Although later the story was changed and twisted to say that he met the devil.
Right.
But it's believed to be rooted in racist ideology.
Yeah.
And if you're at a crossroads in your life, Papa Legba can help you choose the right path for a price. Some offerings might include candy. He loves chocolate, dark rum, tobacco, or cigars.
Papa Legba sounds pretty dope, too.
He's pretty dope. He's also associated with fertility because he does control, like, if you can go into a body or not.
Right.
And sometimes, it's really cute because he's either a little precious old man with his little tattered clothes and his dog and his little straw hat, or he's a guy with a huge dick.
Oh, is that a description?
He often has a gigantic erect phallus. And there are statues of this if you Google Papa Legba. And it's like, okay.
Statues of the man with a giant erect penis?
Right.
That kicks ass. Where are those at?
Gay.
No, I just mean like it's just like you walk by and you see all these like dusty old statues of like Civil War generals or whatever, and then there's just a nude dude with a huge dong.
Yep, just hanging out.
And it's like, tell me more about this man. Yeah, I like that he appears as a wandering old man with a dog, like with the tattered clothes and stuff, because that is something that is done in other religions a lot, like Odin from Norse mythology will often appear to you as sort of like a disheveled old man. It's kind of like a thing, I guess like a running theme of you never know who people really are, so don't, treat them differently based on, their appearance or something like that.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast.
They also all have symbolic drawings.
Like to each one individually?
Right, yeah, each one has one. Maman Brigitte is really pretty. It's got a heart on it. They're just really, really cool. Kind of like sigils, like you see in other...
Okay, or like symbols that represent them.
Right. And they have their colors, and usually there's like a background color, and then the actual symbol is drawn in a black background with a purple.
Oh, okay, I see.
So we were Googling... Dr. Facilier, because we had to include him more because Keith David. We love
Keith David.
We love Keith David. But did you know that Dr. Facilier is not in Tiana's Bayou Adventure ride?
That's fucked up.
It is. And the reason why, according to DisneyFoodBlog.com,
Food blog.
Facilier isn't seen, but we're assuming it's due to the fact that Disney wouldn't want to have to explain how he escaped from the spirits.
Oh, wow, that's darker than if they had just included him in.
Or have to put all the spirits in there as well.
Now that would be really cool, though.
That would be really
like
cool.
It's a small world ride where you go through a tunnel, and it's like the whole song and dance sequence that he did with Friends on the Other Side.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
That'd be really cool with like the lights going over the tunnel on you, like swirling like you're going into the underworld.
And that boom, 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 boom,
Oh man,
boom. It'd be so good.
That'd be extremely sick, and they didn't do that.
They didn't do that. Why didn't you do that? We'll just have to start our own theme park.
Right, with licensed Disney characters.
Exactly.
I'm sure that'll go over really
It'll
well.
be fine. When has anyone ever gotten in trouble for using licensed characters?
From Disney
From
specifically.
Disney specifically.
Like, Google says, like, Dr. Facilier based on Michael Jackson?
He's also got antisocial personality disorder, is his representation, which I'm like, okay.
What?
Yeah, let's
The
see.
Google, Google has those drop-down boxes where it's like related searches
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah,
It really gets wet and wild up in there.
It does. What mental disorder does Dr. Facilier have? And it's antisocial personality disorder.
He seems pretty social. He scoops up some strangers on the street and gives them a very intimate, like, card reading.
Well, antisocial doesn't necessarily mean you just don't like people. So, antisocial personality is not necessarily just that you don't like people. It's a pattern or disregard for the rights of others.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then, that fits
right.
for Dr.
So, like
Facilier.
being deceitful,
trapping
no
someone's
remorse.
soul into a frog.
Exactly. Putting someone
Spoilers.
into, risk-taking. Like how he's like, yeah, sure, I'll enter into a soul-binding contract
Right, yeah.
with these things I don't truly understand on the other
probably
side.
Baron Sanmdi himself.
Probably.
Because he gets drugged straight to hell.
Yeah, he does. He sure does. Spoilers if you haven't seen this old Disney movie. It's so good.
Spoilers
though.
if you haven't seen this, like 10-year-old?
It's an old, well, it's not old, but I mean, it's
fairly old.
It's not brand new.
It's old enough. I mean, one of the D&D campaigns we played, one of my players played Thibodeau Wrong Eye Foray, who was a gator person, voodoo priest.
Right.
who very much embodied the Baron Samedi lifestyle.
Yeah.
He was, of course, nice to a fault. And pretty much the best character in that whole campaign.
He really was.
No one has anything bad to say about old Thibodeau Wrong Eye Foray.
Tell us about the ladle.
The long and short is this character, Thibodeau, didn't do a lot of damage or a lot of anything in particular. He wasn't like a metagamer. The player that played him wasn't. He did mostly like buff and debuff stuff. Most of what he enjoyed was the roleplay aspect of the game. So, he really shined during all of that. Well, in the final battle where we had to fight a dragon god who had been destroyed like 1,000 years ago.
Nerd.
Who rose up and was becoming reborn. Thibodeau managed to one-shot the final boss of the whole campaign by trapping his soul in a golden ladle. So it should be mentioned that Thibodeau Wrong Eye Foray also was a fantastic cook, and that was his whole thing. He owned a restaurant that he was trying to promote throughout the entire campaign. We ended up saving a whole city, and he's passing out business cards because he sees it as a lucrative business opportunity.
Same. That's me when I meet people and I'm like, here's a business card for my business Cat's Meow social media content creation.
He ends up displaying the golden ladle in his restaurant, behind the bar.
What? I didn't know that part.
As a draw to his restaurant.
I didn't know that part. Oh my gosh. There needs to be a part 2 where it gets stolen.
Yeah, we'll do a whole thing. I was going to say, other than that, Baron Samedi, the only time I had ever seen him or been introduced to him is he was brought in as a character in Smite, which is a game about all the different gods of different pantheons fighting in a League of Legends style type of game.
His wife's on there too.
I see. The last time I played, they had only just introduced the Voodoo pantheon, so he was the only character there at the time.
Right.
So I imagine that he has wife and also Papa Legba by now. They usually go for the big names right off the bat. So
yeah, and Baron Cimitière is the most popular one. But in a lot of your things, like I said at the beginning, him and Papa Legba kind of get mixed up.
Yeah, they kind of govern similar things.
Right.
It happens like that in other pantheons, too.
Right. So one thing I read, and it was really neat, it's think of Papa Legba like St. Peter. He lets you in, lets you out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not confused about Baron Samedi and Papa Legba.
I am. I'm
Maybe
just
some
kidding.
maybe some other fools are.
You silly goofs.
But probably none of you people listening, because now you've heard our podcast and you know the difference between Bawon Sanmdi and Papa Legba.
Hooray, we did it! Also, so we're trying a new thing where we do the serious part at first and then we bullshit at the end. Because I know some people like the banter, some people don't. And that's okay. But some of the funniest things in life are banter. It's snowing outside. Well, it's not snowing anymore, but it did snow here in South Mississippi.
Is this your
South
attempt to
Louisiana.
start banter?
Yeah, it feels weird at the end.
It feels weird to me for sure.
Yeah, I don't like it. Let's not do it again.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. There was a long pause where I just stared at Caitlin that I will cut out.
Thank you for listening. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Give us some stars. Give us some stars, but only good stars.
Only good stars.
You can join us on Facebook and on Instagram. It's Obsessed with the Palmers. They both have our new logo drawn by our brother Mikey.
Our brother. People are going to think we're incest.
We are. It's Mississippi, babe.
It's an Alabama thing. Shout out to everybody in Alabama.
Hey! But no, it's Clay's brother and my brother-in-law. But I call him a little brother because we don't do step or half here. We're all fam. In DeClerb, we all fam.
Our house is an Olive Garden. We're all family
We're
here.
all family here. Our house is an Olive Garden. God damn it. I want that potato soup.
We're making potato soup.
It's going to be so good. I'm manifesting that that's going to be the best fucking potato soup ever.
Damn.
My parents already don't listen because they don't like my cussing.
This part contained a segment where my wife said a long string of expletives that I cut out. I will cut out that part.
No.
And then put just that clip up for a Patreon.
Should we start a Patreon? Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. But, help spread the word.
You
friggin'
turds. It's a big grouper. And we don't really do any advertising for our podcast. It's pretty much just grassroots word of mouth kind of thing.
Right.
So if you know somebody who's interested in this kind of shit, let them know about our podcast.
Or if you want to make fun of us, just make sure you hit share.
Yeah, whatever. If you want to make fun, if you want to say like, listen to this shitty podcast.
Right, you can do that.
I don't care. Whatever. Get us some listens.
Yeah.
Like I said, nobody listens to us on friggin' YouTube, but I update. I think I've already talked about this. Like, I thought that YouTube would be, like, the place because it's easy. Everybody knows how to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's free.
Even your older people know how to operate YouTube. So, put it there. Nothing on YouTube. Everything is Spotify and iTunes.
I love Spotify. I'm a
and
Spotify
Odyssey
girly.
And Podbean.
Yeah.
It's all those places. Speaking of, I can see when you're listening.
By the way, we're looking at you.
I can see what time of day you're listening. I can see how many different people listened, how many downloads we got. I have all that information. And I know that there is somebody in Virginia who has listened to damn near every one of our episodes this month.
Thank you, Virginia friend.
Thank you, random Virginian friend.
Please email us what you would like us to talk about next, because we would be happy to do that for you.
Yeah, obsessedwiththepalmers@yahoo.com. You can always email us there about topics you want to see, or, I don't know, maybe you hated this episode and you want to tell us that it sucked.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever.
I'll tell you to fuck off, but you can still do it.
It's a free country. You can sit with us. Here, I'll move my shit. Sit down. Do you want something to eat? You hungry? You thirsty?
Too bad. We ain't got no food to give you digitally.
Let's go eat potato soup.
Let's go eat potato soup. All of us as a family.
You're invited.